Hey, what's going on? This is Mike, and I am the Sports Dope. You can find me on Twitter at that Sports Dope. Instagram is the same name. If you're listening to this on iTunes and you were interested in watching me for some unknown reason in my office, sit here and tout this bullshit with a microphone in my face. If you were interested in something along those lines, you can go to mindsofmike.com/thesportsdope, and there's a bunch of social media icons and shit, and you can find a YouTube link there. And I can't get a unique URL through YouTube until I have a certain amount of subscribers. So if you were interested, you could, go over there and hit the subscribe button, help me out a little bit. That'd be dope. And if you happen to come across this on YouTube and you were interested in just downloading it to your phone, there's an iTunes link on that website also, mindsofmike.com/thesportsdope. And I think it's on Google Podcasts. I haven't been able to verify that. Like it says it. I got an email that says it. I got one friend who has an Android phone that has Google Podcasts, and he couldn't fucking find it. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm still working on getting it on Spotify. That would be fucking cool. But yeah, not there yet. Not there yet. This is going to be the Week 7 Daily Fantasy. I'm going to give you two lineups. We're going to recap what we did last week. Last week was just bad all around. I wish last week would just die, crawl in a hole and die, throw gasoline on it, set it on fire. Last week was awful. Daily Fantasy was bad. The picks were bad. Everything was bad. But you know what happens when things are all bad one week? They turn around. Everything turns around. So, just before we get started, I just want to say I'm going to have some NBA stuff I'm hoping to come out with this weekend. I got my little research going. I'm just going to run through. I was thinking two, but I might just wind up doing one where I talk about some of the teams that I'm throwing some futures on. Maybe some players that I'm throwing some NBA futures on before the season kicks off on Tuesday. I am a big NBA guy. I dig the NBA. So I am going to be doing some NBA stuff. It's hard because, the spreads don't come out until, the night before for the day after. And, the earliest I could get something to going is like fucking 5 o'clock. So that's pretty rough. I got to get up at like 5 for work in the morning. So, yeah, getting something out before I go to work is fucking impossible. And I can't really stay up late to do it. If you watch this on YouTube, I keep looking up to the left, or I guess you're right if you're watching it. I got the Chiefs game on up here. They just scored against the Broncos. If you listen to the picks, I got the Broncos in a teaser with the under tonight. And there's already 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. I've done that home team and under teaser for like 4 fucking weeks straight. I go into like every week thinking it's a good idea. And it's been a good idea in the past, but these last 4 weeks have just not worked out that way. Anyway. So did it again, though, because I'm going to ride that train until it fucking hits. And that's a theme in Daily Fantasy also with a certain player. Stick around. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit. And that little bit, it's going to begin now. Because I got nothing else to fucking blabber about. It's already been 5 minutes. So, starting off, we're just going to recap last week real quick. So once again, as just like every week, 2 lineups, one of them a little tighter, a little more mainstream that you could play with, a couple of your buddies in like, your 15, 20 person friends leagues or whatever, for $5 where winner takes all, or, but I also like throwing one in the Millionaire Maker every week. And that one's got to be a little different. It's got to stand out. It's got to have some, a couple plot twists to it, right? So let me turn the volume off on this computer so these emails that I get don't fucking, okay. So, anyway, daily fantasy stuff. Last week, the Friends lineup. I thought last week was going to be a get-right game for the Chargers. They've looked rough. Pittsburgh was down to their third-string quarterback. Not that that would help the Chargers' offense, except maybe turn the ball over a little bit. But it was completely the opposite. Pittsburgh was the one who looked dominant. Scored a defensive touchdown, a couple turnovers, deep in their own zone. And, but I went with Phillip Rivers. He had a decent week. Stacked him with Keenan Allen. He had an awful week, only 2 catches for 33 yards. Just an ugly game all around. So, 25 points or so total for a stack. Yeah, that's awful. Absolutely awful. Running backs, I went Chase Edmonds because David Johnson was a little banged up. And Mr. Edmonds was going to be spelling him for more than usual. He did okay. A couple catches, about 60 yards total, and a touchdown. So 14 points for somebody who cost about like $4,500. Not terrible, but I would have liked to see a little bit more. He was better than this fucking guy. Derrick Henry did 0 jack and squat. Fucking terrible. 4 points total. Cortland Sutton, he had a decent game. 4 catches, 76 yards. Nothing really to write home about. But Robert Woods, awful. The whole fucking Rams team was gross. Robert Woods got in the end zone, though. It was like an end-around rush for like 15 yards. That was their only touchdown of the game. And, just a gross game all around. Tight end spot, we had George Kittle, and he lit shit up. Yardage-wise, didn't get in the end zone, so it was a little disappointing. He had 100 yards and 8 catches, so solid day. We also had Zeke in the flex spot, and this was the game I was looking for from Zeke, but the rest of the lineup didn't come through. Obviously, Zeke looked good. Touchdown, 47 catching yards, 100 rushing yards, 5 catches, like 30 points, just about 29 and change. So that was solid. And I went with the Jags D. Did not really show up. It showed up. They only gave up 13 points, but they didn't have any of those, cool, fun, hey, fumble recovery, touchdown, this, that, or the other. It was just a boring 7. They gave up 13 points and they had 3 sacks. So that lineup gave us a total of 120. Not going to do anything for you there. Let's throw that one in the trash. Move on to the Millionaire Maker lineup we gave. Millionaire Maker, this was, I was going in on something that, I just thought. I thought to myself, the Jags could be like a really good team. The Jags can beat the Saints at home. Why can't they? And they still had they're still in it the whole game. But, the Gardner is starting to become a human again. I don't know. Maybe it's too many Bud Heavies. It's too much, jean shorts and, bikinis and college parties. Maybe you got to realize those parties and, all that bullshit goes away if you don't be a fucking good NFL quarterback. He had a terrible game, but the Saints defense is playing out of their minds. So I'm almost willing to give Gardner another shot. I'm not wagering on him in any fashion this week, but he's almost in my rearview mirror. Almost. Not yet, but almost. Close. We went with the Gardner, and we stacked him with D.D. Westbrook. Not good. Even worse than Rivers and Keenan Allen, to be honest. So Gardner got us less than 6 points, 5.5 or so. D.D. Westbrook, 8.3. That was a bad day for the Jags in general. Took their defense on this one also. Speaking of Jags, already shit on them before, so I'm not going to dive into that again. For the running backs in this one, we did pretty good with the running backs. Chris Carson, Mark Ingram, both of them had touchdowns. Chris Carson had over 100 yards, and 29 points for Chris Carson. Mark Ingram had about 15. You're looking for a little bit better from Mark Ingram, but is what it is. I think he started to slow. He started out hot, he really did. The whole fucking Ravens team did, but he started to slow down a little bit now, and that's just, I guess, something we're gonna have to deal with. He is fucking 29, 30 years old, which is goddamn ancient for a running back. I mean, he's not Frank Gore or anything like that, but still, he's gonna need to get spelled. He's gonna need to chill out for a bit every once in a while. Can't hit him as hard. Went with my man DeAndre Hopkins. Again, not the breakout week we were looking for. Still, solid weeks, but just dude, put up a fucking 30 spot already, will you? I'm paying $7,500 for you every weekend. Supposed to be this elite guy. My fantasy team is yelling at you the same thing, so it's not just me right here with the DFS shit. Mike, who drafted him in his fantasy league for $55 fucking dollars in the auction. Yeah. So that's no good. 15 points, 16 and a half. Doesn't match the price tag. Cooper Kupp, definitely still doesn't match the price tag either. Like, this was just a terrible game for the Rams all around. I'm not really gonna hold it too much against them. They got a great spot this week. We talked about that in the picks pod. We're gonna talk about it some more in a little bit. But yeah, great spot this week for them. I don't know what it was. I don't know how off a long rest. That it concerns me a little because they were coming off all the long rest. And the Niners, they had the short week. And they go into, like, granted, like, they're the LA Rams for 2 fucking years. How rabid is the fan base? Like, all the people who remember Eric Dickerson from the fucking 70s Rams, like, those guys are done already. They've moved out of California and have been replaced by people from fucking Iowa that are beautiful. So, that nobody cares about the LA Rams yet. Not enough to give them a home field advantage. But still, I would have expected that they would have pride in their own house. Like, granted, the fans don't, but I don't know. But yeah, terrible showing at their own house. Niners drove down from San Francisco, with their entire fan base and just fucking gave them the business. They gave them the business. And, Cooper Kupp had 5.7 points. It was terrible. Austin Hooper, but Arizona against the tight end. Fucking, that's just, like, that's something that people should get tattooed on them. Just don't forget it. Like, it's almost like an equation, like almost like E equals MC squared. Arizona versus the tight end. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Arizona versus the tight end. Y equals MX plus B. Arizona plus the tight end. Like, that versus the tight. Like, that's just Austin Hooper, 30 points. 28.7 if we're getting exact. But, just do it every time. Everybody fucking picked him. He was picked in like 40% of the lineups a Millionaire Maker. Of course. You're an idiot if you didn't pick him. I did pick a different tight end, though, in my flex spot. Thought Zach Ertz was going to be some hot shit. Not really. And he had a fumble, so some negative points. That was dope. And then the Jags defense, another 7 points for a total of 124. And it was not great. Not great. Not good for anything. But the Millionaire Maker did come back to earth. Remember last week we were talking, it was like 300-something points because a bunch of dudes scored 50. And obviously there was a lineup that had them. If you got a couple 100,000 entries, you're bound to have every combo, right? It's possible. But this guy won with like 242. Big players this week. Stephon Diggs, obviously. Matt Ryan had a monster game. Chris Carson, we had him in one of the stuff. Austin Hooper, Zeke. But yeah, Terry McLaurin also had a solid week. I did put in the one thing that I won last week, or didn't win, but got paid on, was I did a third contest, and I came in second. And in that one, I stacked. It was like a different friends contest. So the payout was like only like $20 for 15 fucking people or whatever, throwing in 5. But I stacked Case Keenum and Terry McLaurin. And I had Diggs on that lineup too, so I did pretty well on that one. Not bad. But anyway, all right, fuck it. It's old shit, right? Who cares about old shit? Forget the old shit. Don't talk about old shit. Let's jump into a friends lineup, little friendly league lineup. And as per usual, we're going to stack them up. Stacks on stacks. And we're going with Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett. Baltimore's going to Seattle. Not a fan of their defense. Yeah, Earl Thomas is going to have a little bit of a revenge spot. He's going to want to pick something off. But Russell Wilson's too good for that. He doesn't play that fucking game. He is going to eye fuck him and juke him out with his eyes downfield. Oh, I'm looking left the whole time. I'm going to throw it right. You're already over to the left, Earl Thomas. I'm looking right the whole time. You jumped over there. Nope, I'm actually going to stay right. I fucked you up again, Earl Thomas. No, so that's the only fucking person on the Ravens defense. It's worth anything, really. Like, everybody thinks of both of these defenses like they're, the defenses of old, but they are not. They're awful. And I think there's some pretty good fantasy potential in this. So I like Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett. Both of them $6,600. And give me 66 points between the two of you. $6,600, 66 points. Devil's number, throw another 6 on there. Who knows? Whatever. Another 6. We got $6,000 from Marlon Mack. Houston's coming into Indy. I think Marlon Mack's going to be able to run it. They're coming off a bye. He's got some rest. I think they know that this is a huge game. Frank Reich is the better coach. He knows he wants to control the ball. He knows he doesn't have the gunslinger out there. He's got a quality guy. He's got Jacoby Brissett. He can get it done. But I think the way to win that game is on the ground, and Marlon Mack is to be the one who does it. Right? Marlon Mack, $6,000. I'm going to Philly on this one because it is the night game. Just to remind everybody from last week, when I do my friends leagues, they do Sunday at 1 o'clock all the way done to the Monday game. So that's why, this guy's not going to, he's coming from the night game. He's not going to be available in the Millionaire Maker because the Millionaire Maker is only the 1 and 4 o'clock games. But so this guy, he's a Sunday night guy. He's a second fiddle, but I think he's got a lot of potential. And he's cheap, and he's Miles Sanders. So he's still pretty cheap. And, $4,700, not a lot. He had 18 points last week. And, yeah, a lot of that was a giant catching touchdown. But he's had double-digit weeks. And for $4,700, I will take that shit. Against the Cowboys, where I think Philly's going to have to come up with some odd shit. And I have faith in their coach that he will, coach the way to win. Coach himself to a victory in this one. I actually do like Philly in the game. But, yeah, I like Miles Sanders. He's still kind of a sleeper. And, yeah, I think he's a sleeper in Dallas' eyes, too, which is why Doug Peterson's going to want to use him. So give me Miles Sanders, $4,700. I said it last week. Riding this guy until he has 25+. He didn't have it last week, so I'm fucking doing it again. DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, I like Indy in the game. I think Indy's got the game plan. I think they're gonna win that game. Houston's riding a little high, but DeAndre Hopkins, excellent receiver. The Colts don't really have a fantastic secondary. Two of the cornerbacks, both of them banged up. Safety Malik Hooker, he's gone. He's out. He's doubtful, and doubtful never translates to playing. So give me DeAndre Hopkins, $7,800. Break that 25 block. Please, fucking do it already. I've been waiting for weeks. Next up, I'm going Dante Pettis. Wide receiver from the Niners, going to the Redskins. And my phone just chimed, so I'm putting it on silent. I thought it was already. I don't know how that happened. But Dante Pettis, he's only $4,100. He gets 5 to 7 targets every week. I think that the Washington defense understands that the only thing that I think they can just stop the run fairly naturally. Like, not naturally, but I don't think they need to really load the box with it. And I think Landon Collins has the ability to at least make it a little more difficult than it has been for George Kittle. At least a little more difficult. So maybe Jimmy G looks Pettis' way. 6 targets last week. Only 3 catches. He's got to get his catch rate up. But $4,100. And I think Washington's going to try and be competitive in this game. They just tasted some winning. They tasted a little bit of winning. So, sometimes they fucking, when you see something like that, it makes you play a little better. You feel like you're a better team. And even though it was the Dolphins and the 49ers who are undefeated are coming to town, I still think they get up for the game after a win, right? Why don't you want to keep winning? Don't you want to keep winning? That's the goal. So I think they got a little extra motivation. They'll score a little bit, which will make the Niners have to score. So give me Dante Pettis. Next up, going to the tight end spot. This is a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a monster-scoring game. Give me Austin Hooper again in the tight end spot. He's averaging 20 points a week. Came off a 30-week last week. The Rams just traded for Jalen Ramsey. They have to leave. The fucking wideouts are going to be fairly covered. They also have a good safety, but I think Austin Hooper maybe get a linebacker on him. They throw some blitz out there. Who knows? I think he's got a better chance of getting himself open than, say like a Julio against Jalen Ramsey, right? Jalen Ramsey, who's fucking fresh off, fresh. I mean, fresh, not like fresh off the injury that he doesn't really have, but he's just straight up fresh because he hasn't fucking played because he's a piece of shit bitch. Next up, flex spot. Give me Kenny Galladay. Tons of targets every week. The Least he's had in the entire season is 8. Catching a bunch of them. And I know Minnesota has a good defense, but Kenny Golladay is just constantly getting the ball thrown to him. And I think he's got the ability, and Stafford's playing very well now. So give me Kenny Golladay. He's pretty cheap at $5,800. I'm going to slide him into my flex spot. Slide him into the flex spot. All right, here we go. Defense. I've said it before. Most of the weeks, defense wins championships. Defense wins Millionaire Maker. If there's a defense that puts up 30-something points, that defense is in every winning lineup for the top 100. For the top 100 lineups, they all have the same fucking defense. If there's a defense that puts up 30-something. And look, I feel like anybody who might be listening to this is going to laugh at me right now because I just did it and didn't work out super great. I just picked the Jags because they were going against the Saints, and I thought the Saints were due for a bad game. And they did have a bad game. It's just the Jags defense didn't do anything on the peripheral defensive stats to warrant a ton of points. Right? If they gave up 13 and they had 3 sacks and they only get 7, if you're only giving up 3 sacks and that's it, no fumbles, no touchdowns, no nothing, then it doesn't matter. But I'm taking the Bears at home against those Saints, Dome Saints, going to the Bears. It's fucking starting to get cold in the Northeast. I wore a woolly hat to work today. It was 45 degrees when I left my house at 5:30. Right? It's getting cold. Saints boys ain't used to that. New Orleans is still a moist swamp with summer weather. So give me the Bears defense, $3,000. So for this lineup, a little mainstream, a couple of friends. We got Russell Wilson, Marlon Mack, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Dante Pettis, Austin Hooper, Kenny Golladay, and the Bears defense. Okay. Next up, we're going to the Millionaire Maker. We are going to the Millionaire Maker. And look, this is a popular guy. I'm not going to say he's not. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people in his lineup with him in the lineup, but I bet it's not going to be as many people as typical because he had such an awful week last week. But I'm going back to Jared Goff. The Falcons cannot stop anybody. Okay? They just gave up 34 points to Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals offense. Now, it's not, they're decent. And the Rams have been playing like shit. But they've got way more talent. And they need it. They just traded for Jalen Ramsey. So you know what that does? That boosts your team's spirits, right? That makes them believe in you. That makes them believe that you believe in them. It's it's showing the players that you have faith in them, so they start to have faith in themselves, kind of deal. And so I like Jared Goff in this spot against a defense that hasn't been able to stop anybody all year. And I'm going to stack him with his main man, Cooper Kupp, because he wants to throw it to Kupp, and against the Falcons, you can do what you want. And I'm double stacking him. Oreo double stacks, double stuffed. Not double stuffed. That's kind of gross when I'm talking about a bunch of dudes. Double stacks. Robert Woods. So I got Jared Goff, Cooper Kupps, and Robert Woods. Cooper Kupps. I meant Cooper Kupp. Jared Goff, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods going to Atlanta in the Dome, playing the worst defense in the entire league. And I think that they just light it up. If they're going to hang 35 plus on them. That's not even a question in my mind. And there's plenty for everybody to eat. If I could get 80 points between those 3 guys, I think that's pretty solid. And I think a lot of people might be scared off after last week's performance. And the price tags went down just a smidge. And so I like it. I like it. Give me Jared Goff, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods. Double stacking them. Running back, I'm going back to Marlon Mack. Didn't mean to rhyme that. But yeah, Marlon Mack, $6,000. I said all I needed to say about him last time. Frank Reich knows he's got to run the ball if he wants to win this game against Houston. And he has to win this game against Houston because he still wants a shot at that division. So yeah, Marlon Mack, $6,000, all rested off a long rest. They got the not long rest as in they played Thursday, but long rest as in they had a fucking bye week last week, so they're chilling. Speaking of teams with a bye week, I'm going with Devin Singletary, $5,400, coming back from an injury. Frank Gore has got them where they are right now. He is the ageless wonder with like a giant fucking extra skull on his head. All he knows how to do is run a football, and that's all he needs to know how to do because he's fucking fantastic at it still. But he's still going to get a little tired. He probably wants a little bit of a rest. Should be a fairly easy game for them. Should be. I hope not, though. If you listen to the Picks podcast, I actually do like Miami a lot this week. Even threw a little on the money line. Tiny smidge, like a little drizzle, like some balsamic on some tomatoes and basil and fucking mozz. But yeah, Devin Singletary, $5,400. He's actually more expensive than Frank Gore, and I think he's definitely going to get his burn. And I think he can definitely get in the end zone too. And I think he can definitely get a bunch of yards because he's fucking fresh. Okay. After that, I'm going with DK Metcalf. Give me DK Metcalf, Seattle, wide receiver, $4,800, pretty cheap. I said before, I didn't really like Baltimore's defense. So I think DK Metcalf could also have a pretty decent day, pretty solid day. I know I took Hilton in the other lineup. This is this is a cheaper hedge-ish, not even a hedge, but because I think they can both eat for sure. Like if, let's say, T.Y. has 110 yards, 6 catches, and a touchdown, over 20 points, and then DK Metcalf has 4 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. That's worth $4,800. That's almost 20 points. That's worth that. It's a solid fill for that spot. So give me DK Metcalf, $4,800. Tight end spot, talked about it before. Second most expensive tight end on the board. I don't give a shit. I'm paying for it. I expect this to be pretty high scoring on the Giants point. I'm expecting a big... Anyway, I think it just skipped a little bit right there. But what I was talking about was Evan Ingram. I love him at $6,500. I know I showed my homerism and lost some bets on the Giants 2 weeks ago. I thought they were a little bit better than they were. It wasn't even really that. I thought it was more that the Vikings were worse than they are, but it seems like they're a little bit better than we thought they were. But anyway, I think this Giants team could absolutely hang with and beat up on this Cardinals team. And I think Evan Ingram is going to be a big reason that they do it. They're all healthy. They got long rest. The people that played last week against the Patriots wasn't Evan Ingram. He got, he was hurt. But Evan Ingram, $6,500. Big game this week. Flex, going to Green Bay. Not on Green Bay, but in Green Bay. That's on the Raiders. Give me Josh Jacobs, the Raiders. I think you could run a little bit on the Green Bay team. Their secondary is very good. The Raiders had a bunch of long rests, coming off of some wins. I think they're confident. I don't know why. Like, Gruden's a fucking caricature. Like, he's a joke. But, Jesus, the team looks pretty good. And, if they would have had a Antonio Brown with a fucking head on his shoulders and focused, like, this team could be, like, significantly better than it is. Like, they'd be up there. And so, man, what a fucking moron Antonio Brown is, right? But give me Josh Jacobs. He's only $5,000. He's the bell cow. He gets all the fucking carries. And so $5,000 is cheap as shit for him. So give me that. Last up, defense. Like I said, I am expecting a bit of a letdown. Arizona's been playing very good. Giant D was pretty cheap, $2,500. Maybe they get a pick 6. Maybe they get 2. Who knows? Arizona, still a fucking 5'7" baby quarterback. It's going to be a little bit windy there. So I'm also interested to see how Daniel Jones handles himself. But look, I think the Giants D could hold down the Arizona D. I'm thinking this might be similar to the Redskins game, where the Giants just beat up on them. So give me the Giants D, $2,500. So recap that lineup. We got Jared Goff, Marlon Mack, Devin Singletary, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, DK Metcalf, Evan Ingram, Josh Jacobs, and the Giants. And once again, the other lineup, the little more mainstream lineup, we're going with Russell Wilson, Marlon Mack, again, big on him this week, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Dante Pettis, Austin Hooper, Kenny Golladay, and the Bears. So I am Mike. I am the Sports Dope. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, both of them at That Sports Dope. If you're interested in the YouTube and you found this on iTunes, go to mindsandmike.com, and there's a bunch of social media icons that you can click on. If you found this on iTunes and you want to watch me for some reason, mindsandmike.com. Click on the YouTube link. And really, that's all I got for this week. Good luck. Listen to the Picks podcast if you haven't. Gotta turn it around. Awful week last week. If you want, just listen to it and fucking fade me. That's all right too. But either way, good luck to you out there. Good luck to me. I can fucking use it. Peace out.